So today, folks, I'm going to teach something that we've alluded to several times. I think Jerome might have even mentioned it here in class. I'm going to start with that. And again, if you have something, hey, tell me more about this, or what did that do, or this, that, the other, put it in the chat. Sometimes I get carried away and I don't have time, but if I don't and I don't have anything else planned, then I'll go to the chat. So what I'm going to do is play 2 songs, and I'm going to record them onto the USB. Which stick should I use? How about each of these has something? Well, I'll just do this one. All right, so I'll start off with let me see what I want to record. I'm going to go into my USB, and let's see here. Oh, that'll take 15 minutes. That's a long medley. Let me do a short medley. Okay. I'll do the short version of this. It's a song that I like playing. All right, so let me play a song for you to open up, and while I'm playing, I'm going to record. Now, to record on a USB, it's pretty simple. And it's not really part of the lesson, but it is now. So the first thing about recording, if you want to record yourself on a USB, is this is really very important, probably the most important part. It's not even the playing part. It's make sure to have your setups ready. So if it's just a matter of putting on a rhythm and putting on a rhythm preset, so be it. If it's a matter of I got to put on my own presets, so be it. Okay, set it up, get ready, do however you want it. So that way when you're playing, you don't have to look around for your next setup. When we do recordings, we always have a plan. So we're not guessing on the fly. Now, that's different than when we do a concert. Sometimes in concert, I'll just do it on the fly. I'll say, what do I want to play next? How about a country? I'll do that in the next song. So right now I'm going to play a song. I have a specific presets that I want to use to record the song. So now that I have that, to the right side of the instrument on the A series and in the lower right here on the EX series, and then like in the Inspires and the Rialtos, I believe it's kind of in this area, there's a section that's called the music recorder. Okay? Now, I'm not going to go into detail on getting it on a CD and turning it into an MP and all that stuff. This is just recording a song in the Lowrey format. Okay? What that means is it will only play on a Lowrey in that format. So this recording that I'm going to do will only play on an E series, for example. It won't play in a computer. It won't play in the car. Now, what we've done in the past is we've converted those to MPs or CDs, in which case you can play it anywhere. Okay? But the objective here is I want to record myself. Now, why would I want to record myself, Robert? Why, Robert? They all asked why, so I'll tell you. Well, believe it or not, when you're playing a song, you really don't know how well you're playing the song. You may think you do. Because how many of you, show of hands with videos, how many of you use music when you play? Yeah, sheet music. You know, yeah. Most hands always go up with that. There's always a small percentage that, you know, they're by ear or they figured out. When you're using music, it tells me something. You don't have it memorized. So if you don't have it memorized, you've got to concentrate a little bit to play your music, right? You're paying attention to the music, so you play the song as best you can with playing all the right notes. Okay? So now your mind is focusing on the music, play the right notes. I got to make sure to push the preset. Oh, Robert put these presets. I got to push it one. You're paying attention to playing the song and playing the song as best you can and where to push presets. The last thing you're doing on the list is listening to yourself play. You hear it, but you'd be surprised if you were to hear yourself play after the fact that you would actually get a good idea of how well you're doing a song. Now, sometimes I do that and I listen, I go, well, that wasn't as good as I thought. Yeah, sometimes I'll do that. I'll go, oh, that was. But you know what? You'd be surprised sometimes if you record yourself. You go back, you go, yeah, that's pretty. You might realize you did something that you didn't intentionally do, but you may like it. That's how I do a lot of songs. Every now and then I'll play a song and it's not part of the music, and I'll do something and I'll listen back and go, oh, I actually like what I did there. After what did I do? And that'll be my new part of the arrangement. All right. So that's why recording and hearing yourself back, because now you get to hear back. You don't have anything else to do except for listen to yourself. And if you think you have a part of the song you didn't do as well as you like, you'll know when you're coming up to that part of the song. It's really a good educational tool. Okay. So the organ's set up. I'm going to come over to the music recorder. Now, if you are you have to have the USB in the organ to do this. It has to be in the instrument. For those of you who may have an SU series, same thing. You have to have the floppy disk in. In other words, you have to have the device inserted in order to record. If you don't, and you try to go any further, the screen's going to give you some messages like disk is not inserted or no something found or something like that. Okay? Here's what I do to set it up. Before I push record, on the right side, you have, on this series here, it says rewind and fast forward. There's 2 arrows pointing right and 2 arrows pointing left. On the dash of some of the models, I don't think it says rewind, or does it? Let me see. No, it doesn't, but there's 2 arrows pointing to the right and 2 arrows pointing to the left. That kind of means fast forward and rewind. So anywhere on your instrument that has that, just push one of them. And then when I do that, it'll access your USB. Okay? Now, the question I commonly get is, if I want to record myself, I have this one USB you gave me and has the 50 songs on it. Yeah, you can do up to 250. So you can add to it. You can get a whole fresh USB and use it for my own practicing, however you want. But this is why I start off with pressing the rewind or fast forward button. It activates the USB and it'll show up on the screen if there's any songs on that USB. If it's a blank USB, you're going to get a bunch of squares on the USB, and I don't know if you could see this from there. Maybe that angle, maybe you can't. But right now, actually, you know what? You might be able to see this big screen here better than... No.
Much better.
That's my TV. I'll point it up there from time to time. Okay, let me move my... Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, I'll leave it there for now.
Yes.
Okay, now I had a very good question here. I have to step up. I had a very good question. And this is I'll tell you why it's a good question, because a lot of students make this mistake. When they want to record themselves playing, they think they have to push the USB button first. That is incorrect. Okay? You don't. You push one of those arrows to access the USB. Now, I will tell you this. This happens from time to time. And it had to happen to you at least once. You put the USB in, you either load or you push the arrow, you do something, and the window says, no USB found. And you look over and you say, well, I know there's a USB in there. Has that ever happened to you?
Yep.
It does. Don't ask me why. They're computers. Sometimes it does. And sometimes I'll just push the button again, clear the screen, and push the button again. Or sometimes I just take it back on and put it in. It's a technical problem. It's just the way of life sometimes. It just doesn't read it. My computer does that. Sometimes I'll do stuff in it, and it'll give me a message. I'm like, I know it works. You know, sometimes you just have to do it again. Okay, so now I pushed one of the arrows. Let me push the screen again. I push one of the rewind fast forward arrows, and you can see there that it brought up on the screen, you know, in this case, you see a list of songs. So I apparently have some songs already recorded on here, don't I? I don't want to record a song on number 2 because it'll just get rid of that one or do something. I don't want to mess with it. So at this point, you want to scroll through, okay, to the right of your window. You scroll till you find a blank spot. Okay, now I can go to number 12, 13. I can do however I want. Okay, I'll just go to number 250 for the sake of this. It doesn't matter where you go on the USB. Just find a spot that you want to record. If it's a blank USB, then obviously 1, 2, 3, 4 will be blank. You just find one and make sure it's highlighted in blue. Okay? Now, what I'll do is I'll play the song. I'll play it one time through just so you can at least get some great music today. But before I do the play, I have to record myself. So guess what button I'm going to push now? Any guesses out there?
Record.
I got a guess in the I got a guess here.
Record.
They said record.
About
And
record.
then on virtual land they said record. Well, guess what? You are correct. You push record. All right. You hear this? All right. So whatever I have set up here, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not set up. See, I got to take my own advice. I had it set up, but then I did all this other talking in between. So let me get my instrument set up first. All right, now I have it set up. I'm using my presets. Set up the organ to play your song. She said, what do you do to set it up? Set up whatever song you're going to play. So when you play a song, what do? You go over and you push this and that. You get it all set up, right? Okay, so have it set up the way you're going to play your song. In this case, I have presets that I use to play this particular song you're going to hear. Now, let me go back to, what did you say? Record. I'm going to push record. Okay, I was going to say, that's more of the tempo. The other one was a little fast for the song I'm going to play. Now, you notice what's happening right now? I'm not playing yet. I'm recording. I have to start playing. Here's a little something for you to know. As long as it's doing what it's doing right now and I don't touch anything, nothing's being recorded. Not even the time. I can sit here for a minute. Now, you remember the days of the cassettes? Or even when you transfer stuff to an MP or CD on the organ, when you do that, that time that's going by is being recorded. So it's encouraged to start it right away. In this case, I can sit here, talk, and tell jokes all day long. The recording doesn't start until I push a note or a button on the organ. Let me say that again. The recording officially starts the minute I touch a note or any button. So if you reach up and you push a button over here, now the recording and the timing is being recorded. So I'm all set. I'm ready to go. I'm just going to play now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hold the applause. Thank you. Now stop that. Now,
It's crackling.
There's lots of distortion at the end.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's because the sound got pretty big towards the end. So I'm not surprised. So now to keep in mind, you'll notice at the end when I was done, I pressed stop a little faster because if I just stopped that clicking, all that time, if I left it going, all that time would be recorded, even if it was a dead space. So in the beginning, if I push record and it starts clicking, again, you have a little time. But the minute you touch something, that space is being recorded. So you just want to make sure you start playing right away after you press something. Okay? Now, you'll also notice that when I push record and that clicking noise, the metronome sound, if you will, it went away once you started playing. Now, here's a for whatever it's worth. If you push record and you do not hear it clicking, there's an option to turn off that metronome. Most people don't. But if the drum volume for some reason is at 0, you won't hear it. So, because some people play manually or whatever, you know. So that's the only 2 times you won't hear the metronome. Some of my presets that I actually use, I start off with no rhythm and no drum volume on. So when I push record, I have to know to just start playing. Okay? All right. So I've recorded that song using my setup. So if you notice what I was playing, I was going through the presets. All right? Now I'm going to record one more just short tidbit one. And actually, I'm going to get some ideas. So give me a style of music that you like me to play. You got countries, waltzes, big band, rock, gospel, Latin.
Latin.
Okay, so Latin. I'll take the first one that I hear. And I'll keep it real simple. So I'm just going to go to the Latin button. This is one of those, what if I'm in the moment here and someone says, can you play a Latin song? And I've already done my Besame Mucho, and I'm thinking, what else am I going to play? I don't have any presets. Well, I'm going to rely on what the organ gives me, right? You put on a Latin rhythm and a rhythm preset, and you get some great sounds. So let me do that. Let me find a Latin. And any Latin is great if you like Latin styles. One of my personal favorite Latin styles is one called, I'll know what it's called when I see it. It is called, oh, I went too far. Dun, dun, dun. Where are you? I know you're in here. I know you're in. Oh, swaying Latin. Now, most people play the song Sway when you hear it, you know, because the introduction, if you do the minor chord of Sway. I'm not going to do that, though. I'm going to put on the intro, too, and I'm going to just do a simple major chord. And I'm not going to record the whole song. I'm just going to record part of it just for the purpose of the workshop. So, again, I'm going to activate my USB by pressing one of the fast forward or rewind buttons on the side or here, wherever it's at. And in the window comes up Ave Maria. If I go backwards, it'll say Song 250. That's the one that I just recorded. When you record a song under the organ, it automatically titles it. You can always go back and rename it. Not the purpose of today's class. So I'm going to go to number 249 on my screen now. It's blank. This is the one I'm going to use. So I've got the setup. I've got the Latin style I want to use. I have my introduction ready. I'm just going to use a rhythm preset, and I'm just going to use whatever I get. Okay? Let's see what happens. Push record first. All right. This is the part I got. You know, every time I record, I get a little nervous. So as long as it's doing this right now, I'm safe. I haven't made any mistakes yet. I have time to meditate, get it right. I've got 44 people watching me. Don't make any mistakes, Robert. Okay. Here we go. Now I got to think of what song I'm going to play. Oh, here we go. so much. Thank you so much. All right. So I press stop there and limit somebody in there. So I chose Marianne because I wanted to keep the song short. It's a short song, and I wanted to show some different settings along the way. All right, so now that's in there, song 250 and 249. I'm not going to get into naming the songs, but we're just going to assume that you know song 250 is which one? Through the Eyes of Love. And song 249 is Marianne, okay? Now, those songs are on the USB. Now, let's just say you happen to get a USB with some recordings. I know some of the artists and clinicians will do that for the students from time to time. Inez, has Joe ever done that for you, recorded something on your USB?
Yes.
Okay, good answer, because I was going to say he's a big meanie if he doesn't. But, you know, every now and then it happens. Someone will say, hey, can you record this for me? And we do one of two things. I did them today. The first thing I did is there was a song. If someone said, hey, can you record Ice Castles for me and put it on my USB? And I go, sure. Well, guess what I'm going to do? I happen to have setups for those songs, so I'm going to use those setups because I like those setups. Obviously, I made them. And it's easy for me to go through the song using the presets. And then in a case like Marianne, it could be that song or any other, and they say, can you play it? And I don't have any setups. Guess what I do? Well, I've got a lot of great setups on the organ. So then you go home and you take your USB. We take out of the organ from the store, whatever model that's comparable to yours. You know, obviously we would do that. And you go home and you go and you play those songs, okay? So here's what we'll do. I'll put the USB in. Now what's the first button you want to do to access the USB to play the song? She said
Rewind.
USB. Well, guess what?
Rewind.
That's the mistake most people make. The answer is no. I want to listen to the song.
Oh,
I want to play the song. I recorded it for you and I gave it to you and said, here you go. Go home and play them. You go home, you put it in the organ. You want to play them, right? Say you can use play. I'm going to say use the arrow buttons, like I said earlier. The reason, the reason you want to do that is to access the USB. How many songs do I have on this USB? Did you see it?
a lot.
You saw 4, but I scrolled through. There's actually, I think, about 13. Doesn't matter. I had more than one song on there, didn't I? So if I go and I push USB and I push play, it may just start playing the first song that's on the USB, or nope. She's making a bunch of guesses over here. If you just listen, I'm going to show you the easy way. Okay. So I want to play the recording that I have. You put the USB in, okay, and you could do one of two things. You can push the play button, and sometimes it'll access it. I tend to use the same thing I did earlier, like I was recording. I hit one of the arrow buttons, and it accesses the USB. Okay? Now, if you look up on the screen here, and I'll zoom in just for a minute. All right, I'm going to take the USB out. I'm going to start from scratch. So I've got the USB. I go home to the organ. I put the USB in. Robert said to put it in the USB. And then you go over and you hit one of those arrow buttons on the right side. And when you do that, wow, that's fast. And the first set of songs come up. Now, song 249 and 250 are the ones that I recorded, right? Now, you can do it the hard way or the easier way. The hard way would be you can scroll all the way up through. It'd take you a while. Or if you just go backwards in this case. See, there they are right there. You see that? Okay. Now, all you have to do is select the one that you want to play. Which one do you want to hear first? Doesn't matter. You're going to hear them both. We'll start off with 249. I'm not going to play the whole song. Okay? I'm just going to listen to the 249. Now, can you see these lights? Let me see my screen view here. This is the part that's really the class. Now, can you tell if these lights are, can you tell if those are lighting up there? Can you see that from that view?
Barely.
Barely. Let me zoom in. For this is really the all this talking beforehand. Oh, my head. Hope my hair looks good. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
the yellow is on.
You can see that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now
Yeah.
these things tend to blink on the when we're doing video on this, but they're not blinking. All right. Just as long as you can see something for a couple seconds. So what I'm going to do is I've got the song ready on 249, and I'm just going to push play. Okay. Now watch over here. You see the rhythm preset is on. I'm going to turn it down. All right, so I'm gonna keep it there until it gets to the next setup. So I'm playing what I'm playing. So right now I'm just using the rhythm and the rhythm preset. Now if you remember when I played the song, I switched to another setup, right? Now let's see if you can see it on the screen. If not, I'll tell you. So it switched to number 4. Okay? Now I'm going to stop it right there. Now if it continues on, it'll go to, I think, number 5 or 6, whatever. So if you're watching this recording that I did, you could look and go, oh, I know what he's using. If you like what you hear, because a lot of times we'll say, when you played that song in concert, what did you use? I really like that sound when you did. You know, that happens. Well, if you play back a recording and you see rhythm preset being used, I take your paper out and go, okay, rhythm preset, 0. He went to number 4. That one's easy, isn't it? Because that's already built in the organ. If you play back a recording and you see rhythm preset being used or style setup, depending on your organ, okay, you have what we're using already. All you have to do is make a note to which ones that you see being pressed as it's being recorded. Okay? Now before I go to the next song, this is a good time for a question if you have it. So the question I have here is they will light up the song is playing. When we record, we have to set up the organ a certain way. There's 2 ways to do that. A built-in setup or our own setups. Now right now I'm doing the Marianne, I used what was built in. I did that intentionally. So I used the rhythm presets. And I use rhythm preset 0, 4, and I think number 6, okay? You would see that going as I'm playing, okay? You would see that. So you would know what I used. All you have to do is watch the recording right here. I didn't even memorize it. I just used what was there. No. No.
Question, Roman.
Yes.
Is that song in the song setup? Is that what you're saying?
Nope. What I did is when I wanted to play Marianne, I said, I want to use sway. It doesn't matter what you use, okay? I just decided to choose a rhythm.
Oh, so all you did was just choose a rhythm.
All I did to play the song Marianne is I picked a rhythm. I picked a rhythm that I wanted to use for it. Doesn't matter what rhythm. That's not the point of the exercise. The point of the exercise is I selected a rhythm and I used rhythm preset. And I used rhythm preset 0 and then I used 4 and 6. It doesn't matter. I could use bossa nova to play that song and record it. When you play it back, you would see bossa nova, rhythm, whatever I use. So here again, I'm gonna record another one. Do the same thing. I'll use something that everybody has. I'll use bossa nova. Everybody has a bossa nova. I'm gonna use rhythm preset 0, intro 2. It doesn't matter. Now I'm gonna record myself. Go to a blank spot. And I'm gonna push record. Okay, now this time I'm gonna go a little faster. Okay, so here we go. And the changing of the setup. So I'm recording this one. Okay, and I'm done. All right, so I just turned on bossa nova. I use rhythm preset 0, 1, 2, and 3 to record the song. Now I'm going to play back that recording. Okay? Now look closely at the buttons here. Notice that one? So you see what I'm using to record this, that I recorded the song with. So my point is if you see a recording and you go, all he's doing is using rhythm, you can make a note to yourself and then use the exact same setups. So you'll know what we did if you have a recording. That's actually the easy part. It doesn't matter what I use. Jerome, he's a king of this. He'll just put on and he'll put on a preset or something, a rhythm preset, and you get this great sound that comes out of there. And you don't know what he did because he just played it, but he didn't record it. But if you'd say, hey, can you record that for me? When you play back the recording, you'll see what he used. And then you can say, okay, he used that rhythm preset. Oh, he went to that. And you just make a note to self, real simple. Because if these lights are lighting up with the rhythm preset, you have it built in as well. And the only way you're playing back a recording is if we record it on a model like yours. So you don't have to worry about this model, that, and the other. But this next part, believe it or not, was the reason why I had this class today. The moment we've been waiting for. Let me go and play the song, the first song I did, which was Theme from Ice Castles. Okay? Get as close as I can without bumping, getting away. When I press play, I'm going to turn down the volume a little so I can talk over it. Okay. Hearing the song is not as important as the instruction part in this part. So if you noticed, can you see that? It's A is lit. A1 is lit. Okay. Now I'm going to let it play through. I've got to for the purpose of this part of the instruction. Turn it up while it's doing that. Oh, number 2 changed. If you can see that. It's blinking, but it's really not on the screen, guys. It's oh, number 3. A is still lit. I'm going to let it continue while I talk. So if you see a recording that you have on a USB or a disc, whatever's working on your model, and if you notice A or B or C, and these numbers changing, here's what you need to know right here and right now. Some of you know this already, but for those of you who don't, hear it loud and clear right now. That means we are using our own setups and arrangements that we custom made to play the song, which I told you earlier. I have my own setups for this song when I play it. Why? Because I like them and they sound great, so I know I'm going to sound great every time. And it's easy for me to play, and I don't have to worry about pushing a lot of buttons. Here we go. 6, 7, Now, normally I don't use those presets like that. I shorten the version of the song for the purpose of the class, but that's okay. If you hear the whole song and you see that, now what I'm going to do here for this purpose of this is I'm going to put the presets on the organ to factory. Okay? Now watch this. If I push A1, that doesn't sound like what I was just playing, does it? No. Okay, now let's put in the song again. Let me press play. A1. Wait a second. Let me press stop. I wonder if I'll get the setup. Hey, it went away. Where is it, Robert? Well, this is the part that if you ever have a recording from an artist and you see A moving along with that recording, it's a more than likely that they used their own setups to record the song for you, or whoever, themselves or you or whoever. And if you would like to get those exact same setups, here's what you can do. So this USB that I'm using right now, we know has some recordings on it. You saw it. It said Besame Mucho and all the other songs. And then 250, song 249, 248. Okay? This is the part you want to make a note. This step that I'm going to show you only works if the person is using their custom presets to record it. If they're using rhythm preset, there's nothing to load because you already have it in the organ. So the option that I'm going to use now is this is where I go to the screen and I touch USB. Now, can you see USB from that out there, virtual people? Let me go up to the TV. Here we go. I keep asking for raise because I do cameraman work and teaching, and boy, John keeps saying no. All right. All right. So first thing is you have to have the USB in, obviously, if you're listening to recording. And I say this repeatedly because sometimes when you hear this for the first time, it maybe doesn't sink in right away. But if you're hearing a recording and you watch the presets changing and it says A, B, C, D, and all that stuff, it's a 99% chance that that artist, whoever recorded that song, used their own personal setups to record it. You can't get them the traditional way, but this is how you can. All right? You touch USB, or if it's a floppy disk even, this actually started way back when the floppy disks worked. It would say disk instead of USB, but you would touch one of those two, and then on the screen, okay, you'll see two options up there. One says load setups and one says load song setups. Okay? If you want to take setups or presets from someone's recording, it's a song. So you want to use the option that says load song setups. Or for those of you who have the A series, it would say load song presets. Okay? It'll be in the same part of the window, the top right. I'm going to touch it, and you'll notice that songs will show up. And the reason why you see that is because I have these songs recorded on the USB. But I'm going to go back to 249 and 250. See that? 248. See, 248, 249, and 250. Now, if I try 249 or 250, it more than likely will not work. Let's see. It says it's there, but it really isn't because I use rhythm presets to play those songs. So there's nothing. If I push A1, it's not there. So I'm going to push USB. It did not come up with the way I had it. So I'm going to use load song setup. Now 250 on the other hand, I touch all, load all song setups, and then what I do is I touch A1. Oh, you can't see that part. Okay. So now I'm going to I'll clear it off here. Let me clear it off. Okay. I'm going to touch A1 now. And let's see what happens. It's the exact same setups that I used. That's playing now. Okay, and if I continue playing the song, all those presets are now in the organ. Okay, now this is, I had a comment here, and actually I'm bringing it up because this is actually very common. Very common that people, they make this mistake. When you load song setups, and I push A1 to play, you heard the introduction, so it sounded like the song was going to start playing, but it isn't. When you load song setups, what you're doing is you're grabbing the setups that the person used that recorded the song, so you can play the song and sound like them. Hold on. Well, you want to play along with the song? You want to play the song? And you want to sound like I did. Okay. So that's exactly what I just did. So let me sum up, and I've said it a few times in the video, so I always go back and encourage you to watch back. So let me sum up in short what we just did. I recorded a song and I gave it to you. And you went and you listened and you went, oh, wow, he's using A132, 124, and 1910, okay? And you go, so he's using his own setups. I want to play that song, and I like to have those setups so I can sound just like him. Well, then you go and you put in the USB, you go to the song, you load song setup, load song setup, not setup. Load song setup or load preset, song preset, depending on the model you have, okay? It's the same thing. They just call it differently on the different organs, okay? Then you find the one that you want, and you select it, and then you hit all. Now, I push A1, and I play the song, and as I'm playing, I have all of the presets that were used to play the song. Okay, yes, you have to do it. She asked, do the presets go on their own? Because when you're hearing the recording playing back, when you hear the recording, you're hearing what I recorded. And so you see the presets going along. Yeah, that life would be great if you played it and it just did it automatically for you. But no, it won't do it. But I'll tell you why that's not, I'm glad it doesn't. Because if you get off beat or off time or something like that, or you take an extra minute and it keeps going without you, that wouldn't be good. So the answer is yes. When you load the song setups, you pulled those setups from that artist, whoever recorded it. Now you play the song using their setups that they use. So in theory, you should sound pretty close to the way they sound. And you have to press the presets. Yes. And how do I know when to press the presets? Well, when you're playing back the recording, have the music and just pay very close attention. Just make. But and it sounds like a lot of work, but here's the thing. It's better than trying to figure out. I have 10 setups. That arrangement took me hours and hours because I went and I tweaked this and that and the other, and And when I got it, I saved it. Now all that work is done. So when I play it, all I have to do is go right through it.
Mhm.
So any questions in virtual land?
I have a question. I
Yes.
have a question.
Yes.
I have a lot of setups on my USB from the classes I've taken, but I have to play the music. So if I want to record it to hear myself, then are you saying I don't hit the arrows? I put load song setups and then I play it along with the setups I already have after I hit record? Is that what I do?
Is that Carol?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I may so I answered the question correctly. So I know you have a USB that has a lot of setups that Dave put on, or combination that you got together, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, so those, when you get a USB that has setups already on there, that's a different operation. I'm just clarifying for everybody. That's where you just load setups. That part's easy. All right. To get the song setup, load the song setup, there has to be a recording of that song on that USB, either by somebody. That's the only way that this feature that I'm talking about is an advantage to you.
Mhm.
Okay, so if Carol, I gave you a USB and it had some recordings on there, and you play them back by accessing it, like I said, if you see those presets moving as that you're hearing that recording, then there should be a kind of a light that goes off and goes, oh, I can get those setups now. That's when you use this feature that I'm talking about.
Okay, and I don't have a recording of someone playing it. I only have downloaded the setups.
Just the presets.
Stop.
In the case that you're getting from Dave, those
Uh-huh.
were already pre-made presets, which we do a lot for students. Sometimes someone will say, I like this song. Can you make a couple setups for me? Could be as simple as that. And I go, okay, here you go. Here's 2 of them. Just load in A1 and 2. And that, while you're loading those presets, they're already made for you. This is an advantage because sometimes we don't always do that. And we go, here you go. Here's a USB with a bunch of recordings on it. As an example, in December, when we did the virtual holiday camp, for those of you who have that USB, you'll notice on that USB, there are no presets. If you put in load presets, I think there's one on there that I put on there because I just felt like doing it. But there's 16 song recordings on that USB. 16 of them. Okay? I think I have a copy of it here. Don't tell anybody because I didn't pay for this one.
Mhm.
Okay? So there are now here's an example. I'll leave that screen right there. Can you see it well enough,
Mhm.
folks? Okay. So I'm going to hit the arrow to access the USB. Okay. And I'll even zoom in a little bit more here. Okay. I don't know how blurry that is, but I'll read. It says "Joy to the World," "Sleigh Ride," "Christmas Song," "Holly Jolly Christmas," "It's Beginning to Look Like Christmas," "Wonderful Day Like Today," "Silver Bells." And there's 16 songs on there. All right. Now watch this. I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to push USB, and this time I'm going to load just setups, not song setup, just setups. And let's see what happens. Are you ready? There's only one group of presets in there. Now there's 16 songs on this USB, but only one came up. You know who that was? That was me. See, I was the only nice guy in this. But theoretically, I didn't even have to do that. But now let's go back to the songs. Sleigh Ride, Joy to the World. Let's listen to that. That was Carrie. You can see there's some presets being used. Okay. So So etc. So let's go to another one. This is let's see. I'm just gonna find a song. Here we go. Here's one that I did. What child is this? Okay. I push play. Oh, A1 came up. Okay. Jerome did Last Christmas. Let's see. Yep, A1 came up. Now, he only had like 2 setups for this song, but unless you really knew what he did, you still had to set it all up. Now, if I do load songs, if I just do long setups, it doesn't show up on the list. But wait a second. Robert told me if I have a USB with a bunch of songs on there and I want to take the setups they used, those artists can't keep them from, they can't keep it from you. You just cannot. So this is how you get them. You touch USB, load song setup, and you find the one that you want to load. In this case, Last Christmas. I hit Last Christmas, all, and guess what? Now I have Jerome's setups. I don't know how to play the song without music, but there again, I have his setups. I think Joe did. Mary, did you know? Let's see. Did he use setups for that? Let's see. Let's see. Oh, actually, Dawn did had to use her own setups. So, et cetera. You can just. I could be here all day long going through each one. So. Yeah, I'm going to say it again because it's really it's interesting because it's really not. Yeah. Yep. Basically, the purpose of this is like I said earlier. If you're playing a recording and you see their setups being used and you like what you hear and you want them, you use load song setup. And if you find it on the list, you select it, hit all, and now you have the setups they used. That's really, I could have said that in the very beginning and the class would have been done with, but then it would have been a very short class. Hold on, Cecilia. Hold on. I have some questions out here. All right, are there any questions from there? I thought I saw some in the chat.
I have a question, Robert. So when you want to record a song, you cannot just record it on the organ. You have to have a USB.
Yes, if you want to record a song, you always have to have either your floppy disk, because I'm saying that because some people have the floppy disk, or a USB. If you have the USB, you have to have one of those inserted at the time.
Okay.
You can try, but if you'll find out very quickly in a matter of seconds that it won't do anything unless you have that into the instrument. It'll tell you.
Okay.
It'll say something. Let's see. It says no USB memory stick found. Please insert.
Okay. Yeah.
One time it said, "Are you kidding? Don't you know this by now? Please put in a USB." I swear I saw it come up on the organ once. No, I'm just kidding. So, any other questions? All right, and I'm going to say it one more time. So when you go back and watch this, you can pause and listen to it. And this will answer your question at the same time. So, on a USB, you have 2 ways of loading presets. One is when we actually specifically program presets on the organ, and we save it on the device, and we give it to you and say, go home and push load presets, and then find what we give you. That's very common, because we don't always replay the song. Sometimes we just make the setups for you. Sometimes we have a song we recorded that we use setups. If you see that, you can use the load song setup feature. That's the main difference between the two. And sometimes they're both. on the USB, but you always have one option or the other. Oh. I'll get with you on that in a minute. Are there any other questions? No? Now you're either much smarter, or you feel like you learned a lot, or you're going, oh my gosh, it's above my head. This is I stretched out an hour class. Really, it's about a 5-minute instruction. But the reason why I did is because I also wanted to tie in recording yourself. Okay, so it was really a 2-part class. But I kind of showed you how I record a song, and then I took it a step further. So part of the class was you learning how to record yourself, and the other part of the class was grabbing setups from someone else's recording. So I'm going to encourage you that if you have a question, if something didn't sink in, get with one of your personal assistants, okay, and we'll help you, okay? They're your best source. And this class will be posted on our Patreon site. So if you're not subscribed to it or following it, go on and subscribe to it. And you can access it easily from our website. At the very top of our website, you have a YouTube channel access and a Patreon channel access, and it'll bring you right there. And if you're not sure, email me or call one of the staff members, and we can tell you how to do that. My email is how you got this link for today, or the reminder. That's my email address, rroman@fletchermusic.com, and just send me an email. I can tell you how to do that, okay? So if you have any other questions, I hope to see you all real soon again, and thank you, and let's give a round of applause to the clinician today. Oh, thank you. Stop it. Oh, please. Oh, my gosh. You're too much. You're just too much. Thank you so much. Happy New Year!